Hey guys, before we start this fanfiction, I want to say this is not based on actual true events. This was partially based on a dream that I had recently about the fake fan game. In that, as if it happened in the dream, relates to a fake Sonic fan game in that had a virus as in it after completion. So yeah, I do not condone I in malicious code, let alone the use of malicious code, just because somebody pissed on your cereal, or for whatever reason. I just wanted to basically wanted to say that before we began the fanfiction. I hope you guys enjoy.
And now I have my Sonic fanfiction. I may put on to speak only and do a fanfiction series and hit record for that. But for now I should do this first before I find myself getting tired of this shit. And this is also why the recording studio is getting this AI system and such. I also hope you all enjoy this as well, because I did not enjoy having to remember this game that fucked a good amount of shit up in my house, especially my home network and a couple of computers. Now, I was not sure why it ever happened, but it doesn't have a plushie at the end, nor did I ever die. The only thing that got affected was my notebook, which I had to do a factory reset on. Fortunately, I never had my portable hard drive in this fucking thing. It started as a normal Saturday afternoon. I was watching some videos and generally fucking around on Minecraft when I got the DM from a friend of mine on Steam, and mind you, said friend has sent me links to some games before I ever bought them. This time, names aren't being given, sent in a link to a site for a fan game I haven't seen before. It was in relation to Sonic, or well, one of the pastas I knew before and even had text-to-speech narrate it. I felt an odd sense of nostalgia about it considering the fact that this was done to death, but the sprite work for the Sonic characters looked like their eyes had been whitened out entirely rather than be black, with red pupils or some equivalent. Just white, and they seemed to be grayscale and miserable too. For some reason, they looked like that ROM hack I played earlier, except that while not grayscale looked miserable, I had also noticed one extra thing about them as well. They look like they are partially obscured and static. And on top of that, I was reminded about an acquaintance of mine that had this happen to them with Super Mario and Roblox respectively, in which he told me about a Super Mario fan experience on Roblox. After I installed the Sonic fan game, nothing was wrong other than the fact that the icon for the game was a partially static ring. I double-clicked the icon and began the game. If I remember correctly, the game was named Sonic Static Mutants, I think. But the title screen was normal aside from some partial static here and there, and Sonic looked unnerved like he would when you go idle in the classic games. Reluctantly I hit play. It started with a title card stating the zone was titled Savannah Plain Zone, a savanna-themed zone with grass as green as the Green Hill Zone or Emerald Hill Zone. Nothing too bad at all. Taking a look back, I did kind of see some washed out trees on a rare occasion. I thought nothing about it at the time, since I thought it was just how far they were due to them being a part of the background. But as I went into Act 2, those washed out trees became more common, even on the playable plane, with some becoming a part of the foreground. Me, okay. That's not how acacia trees look normally at all. I thought to myself that exactly as I continued playing on, thinking this was Dr. Robotnik's doing. Apparently I was wrong. By so many levels as I reached the end of Act 2, he appeared speaking about a virus that someone made. From what he understands, it was meant to cause some mutations, that it is more painful than it is capable of. Nothing too major other than partial static being the most notable mutation across the board. He did not elaborate any further what else happens other than that. He thought at first it would have gotten worse as time went on later on Sonic's journey rather than being this quick. He then said to Sonic that he'll do what he could to help out Sonic and all of the Mobians with this threat. And with that, I got through the zone without a boss fight nor a capsule that contained animals. I appeared in what looked like a smaller metropolis zone, with a few buildings here and there mixed with what looks like Emerald Coast asset satellite, just showing some dirt and some sidewalks on the side and a beach in the background. Coastal suburbia zone is what it's called, and I gotta say, it looks just as well done as the Savannah Plains zone. Being fair, the zone I'm in now's ground looks like a fan recreated / made the Emerald Coast assets in 2D as it was. The washed out sprites didn't show up much, unlike the last zone, and it was obvious that I may have to stop whoever is spreading this, as I encountered the first ever boss of the zone after going through Acts 1 and 2. From looks alone aside, from this virus taking effect, it looked like a giant skeletally thin goblin with some kind of mithril claymore. I've gotta admit, I forgot this was a Sonic fan game for a moment as I said that it wasn't the Elder Scrolls. Then again, there is Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood, but this is a platformer, not an RPG. Other than that, it was not difficult to beat. I just simply had to jump on its head or its body to kill it. I was now in the third zone of this game. From appearance, it looked like a completely grayed out and partial static filled mix of Marvel Zone and Savannah Plains Zone, with Angel Island Zone's background, with some of the flora and fauna of the Angel Island and Mushroom Hill Zones respectively. Marvel Jungle Island Zone was displayed. I saw that this is one of the few zones there is a ground zero to this game that got affected real badly, since it was the fact that it looked washed out and the static was all over the place. I had to rush through before it took Sonic out once and for all, as there was some of this viscous static-like liquid on the shoes. Rushing through, I saw that there were some zombie-type robots that looked like they were made by GUN, but they wouldn't do that even if they had the resources to make humanoid robots. It was made apparent that it was made by some highly advanced tribe that also knew necromancy, as by the end of Act 3 the boss of this zone appeared. The boss of this zone is a ripped-in-half robot humanoid. Its head looked clean-shaved with a beard, going ear to ear. While it looked scuffed up to hell, it was durable as hell. But I got through and got a scene of Tails on his tornado to get Sonic out of the island. In between the time they were getting away from Marvel Jungle Island, one of those static robot zombies from the zone launched itself onto the plane, grabbing onto one of the wings of it, spreading the infection. Sonic tried to save Tails before it got to the two-tailed fox, but the zombie was faster to act than the fastest hedgehog as Sonic was punched out of the plane and Tails was grabbed. This puts me on the fourth zone this time. It was actually a base, where I guess Eggman was keeping the Chaos Emeralds. From what I can tell, Hidden Palace has not been hit as well, so the 5 bigger emeralds were still good, and I'm surprised that none of the badniks went on the defensive, not even Metal Sonic or any incarnation of Silver Sonic. I tried to move, but Sonic stood in place as if I had entered a scene. Sonic spoke. Sonic, didn't think that Egghead would keep the Chaos Emeralds safe here rather than keeping these in their locations. Then again, that infectious virus thing behaves similarly to the metal vitreous. Plus there was that island I was on before that thing attacked Tails and I assume everyone else. I need to get to Eggman before the emeralds are lost forever. Containment Base Zone is the zone's name. I regained control of Sonic, though I saw some of the virus on his chest. He and I knew what this meant as I got into the room where the Chaos Emeralds are. I reached the door to the room and another scene happened. From what is seen, Sonic came closer to the door to a darkened emerald containment room to see if he can enter via one of the Badnik closed me. But before the Badnik, a moto bug did its thing with the door. Several pounding sounds were heard before the door to the cell to the Chaos Emeralds busts open, sending Sonic and the moto bug back. The containment cell looked like it was scuffed up hard, but the emeralds are fine, and the right side hallway is partially covered in the static-like virus substance. Sonic quickly grabbed the emeralds before going back from where he came in from, putting me onto Act 2 of the zone. It was obvious that we needed to get the hell out of there before it quickly took over. The moto bug stood guard as I controlled Sonic to the left to escape the base, and I led Sonic out as the base went into self-destruct mode. The next act was Sonic running on top of water to get somewhere else. Apparently this would meant Sonic never gone super, despite having all of the emeralds, which would made sense, since I knew that in order for me to go Super Sonic, I would have to collect 50 plus rings, and then jump in order to do so in Sonic 2 before it became established to be used in cutscenes from Adventure onward. Anyhow, I got Sonic to continue running as I saw that if I stopped it would result in a life loss. I had Sonic running for about 4 or 5 minutes without many threats, just some of those zombie things trying to grab at Sonic with tails looking grayscale, with whitened out eyes and obscured in the same partial static and miserable look flying by in the background on occasion. And since then I have at least gotten enough rings to go super and gotten the maximum amount of rings on this act, I had gotten to this zone's boss. Looks like Eggman's Death Egg Mech, with Eggman controlling it. It definitely looked like he had been got in the gut due to a wound being there. Same with the mech as it had its arms torn from the elbows, but nonetheless I had to attack it and him as they are now considered threats. Once I beat them, however, Amy told Sonic that Central Station is under attack. Sonic had to run faster to get to Central Station as there's an attack of sorts. But Sonic himself had infected himself and it's on his arm since his fight with Eggman. Now since I had gotten to the 5th and final zone, Central Station, I thought maybe now I can go super, but I waited until I gotten around 200 or so rings. I still knew that it's 50 plus rings here. Sonic still, with an infected arm and it reaching to the rest of his body, ran through the station as fast as he could. He and I knew it was already too late. The look in his eyes said that he was not gonna save many of his friends on time, but wanted to save as many as he could, so he saved Amy, Knuckles, and Rouge. They explained that Shadow was already long gone as this static virus is already taking its toll on all of Mobius, and they don't know how long it's gonna take before it spreads all over the world. Since I would have enough rings, I thought I went ahead and got Sonic to go Super Sonic. I thought for sure this was the only cure to this virus like it was the metal virus, but no one knew where this came from other than me that saw one of the ground zeros for the virus. I mean there was no involvement with Eggman, and since Sonic destroyed the last known big infected being, and no one ever went to Marvel Jungle Island since it was hit with a static virus. I went to stop and contain the static mutants with Super Sonic, and seeing that there were a lot of them this might take long. In fact, it didn't take any long for me to lose the super form and gotten an ending that went like this. It showed Sonic getting dogpiled and getting completely infected. It then showed Central Station and the rest of Mobius getting enveloped with this static. It then ended with an already infected Tails-up close more miserable than ever, along with close-ups, with a now more notable Sonic characters looking the same way as Tails. Partial static obscurance, whitened eyes, miserable expressions and so sad looking and in pain. The program then abruptly shut itself off after it said the end, and my netbook restarted after the game closed. After the netbook had gone back to the desktop, the background was glitching out. The icons were also kinda glitching, but they still function the same. Surprisingly, I guess this is just cosmetic. But when I gotten on Chrome, the logo, when it got into the search engine, was kind of static-like and it was animated. I looked at any and every site I knew, from my recent sites. All of them kind of had the static, some animate, others not animate, and some with darkened and slash or washed out colors. It works. Just things are screwy, and I thought it also affected my internet, because of the fact that it was also kind of screwing with my gaming desktop along with my netbook, but to an extent every computer and known internet-connected device. I and the family were getting a bit pissed up until I rebooted the router to switch IP addresses. Since then I never seen anything that would imply hauntings other than the virus, and I did a virus scan and then a system restore. We were a bit upset about the fact I kind of screwed the home network up until I rebooted the router and cleaned up the netbook. I did apologize about the incident, told the guy who sent the fan game to me, and I thought about reporting the game off. However, when I returned to the page for this game, it was taken off by the game author, and I took a look into the fan game's creators' YouTube channel and saw they had made an announcement video in regards to Sonic Static Mutants. They mentioned that this game wasn't meant to infect any computers when it came to its only ending of the game. In fact, the reports stating that the ending was meant to be left on a happier note with Sonic saving Mobius along with his friends, but someone must have altered it to where the ending everyone got was a rather downer one, and they stated that the malware was not made by the creator, but the dude who made the bad ending. They did apologize for the inconvenience from what happened. I sighed and just left the video without letting my anger out. Was pretty pissed still, but calmed down when I was getting some stuff with Megan. I just hope to hell that this does not happen again. Anyways, this has been Harold. See you guys later, I guess. Edit. Hey y'all, I know you guys are curious about what happened after the day of the incident that fucked with my house's network. I did call the company to see if I was still under warranty to get a replacement under little cost. To my surprise, they said that they are actually offering replacements plus an upgrade to our current subscription at no cost. So I agreed to both replacement and the upgrade, though I did ask to keep the network password for the replacement router. And all I had to do was pay for the router in cash and give one of the guys a beer. I can't really help but to give a smile, as I don't know if I should be a bit pissed or if I should be satisfied or what. But Megan knew I was trying to do what I could to make this apology genuine. She said that she forgave me. I'll post another edit if I can clear my mind of the anger. Edit 2. Hey y'all, I know that it's been about 2 weeks or so, but me and the family were invited to a wedding of one of my brothers and a girl he knew for about 2 years, and she did mention about the whole internet thing she had involving the game she played. He mentioned the same incident with me in the same game. I did confirm what he said, and when she asked me if I had also replaced the router at cost and gotten an upgrade to my subscription at no cost, to which I also confirmed that happened too. To say she's surprised is an understatement, but she understood how I felt when I had played that game before figuring out that its creator wasn't the one who did that. I'll get back to you guys once I get back from the wedding, I promise. Edit free. Hey y'all, I'm back from the wedding, and while Gage and I had the same story, she told who she can gather her side of things. Some of them didn't believe her, of course, nor did they believe me when I gave them the same story through my eyes. Being fair, I don't blame them and frankly don't give a shit. After I and Megan helped out with the putting stuff away after the wedding, Gage said thanks for both helping out and not usually doubting her. I told her it wasn't a big deal, and yeah, me and Megan went home after we had properly put the stuff away. That was rather eventful for everyone, ain't it? Megan? Megan, Astor's giggles, yep, and it was also so fun too. Although, Harold? Yeah, Megan? Megan, did anything else happen when that virus bit happened other than the netbook kind of screwing up and the internet acting up? Nope, that was just it from what you and I know on. Megan, okay. Also, I'm sorry for being a bit upset with you about it. It's okay, I already had it coming. And that's it for that whole Sonic story involving a fan game that kind of screwed a handful of people's electronics up, my own included. And like I said before, I'll see you all later. I hope that things are okay, since this is the first time I had shared this whole thing and I had to get shit rebooted during production of a Halloween episode of Creepypasta Text-to-Speech.